There's nothing like a good ghost story to prick the ears. And on this property, out the back of Humpty Doo, near Darwin, there's a tale which takes on the best of them. Just about everyone who enters the building comes out believing something extraordinary lurks between these walls.
It's on. See? What happens? It's going to start happening now.
That's what it does.
See what happens?
There you go.
There's a shit out here.
5 adults and a toddler live here, and they believe the house has been taken over by an angry spirit, a ghost, a poltergeist.
We just get annoyed because we think it's not gone. Everyone tells us, the priest, the clairvoyant, here's Murph just saying 3 hours ago that the clairvoyant's rung and she said it's gone. Well, it's not gone, is it? It's obviously not gone, and that's all there is to it.
She's Kirsty Agus with her 13-month-old daughter, Jasmine. She's married to Bernie Agus. They share the house with another couple, Dave Clark and Jill Somerville, and Gavin Murphy.
These black things. I had a mate around, and he was in the lounge room, like it started going off when he was here. It flung this, I picked it up, I said, watch this, midnight. Put it back in the drawer, right? And I said, now that's where that knife would have come from. There would have been about 1 minute later, we went walking around there, come nearly up to here, heard clunk in the lounge room again. I thought, oh yeah, there's something in the lounge room. Walked in there, it was the same knife that I just picked up and put in there, and he just looked and thought, whoa.
I don't care what anyone says.
Either do I.
It knows what you're talking about, and that's all there is to it, you know? It's not stupid.
Well, as soon as I opened up the manhole, I got a shower of rocks from the ceiling, just came straight out of the ceiling.
What, the gravel?
Yeah, the gravel from the driveway.
How did it get into the roof and then onto you?
Well, it wasn't there before, and there was none up there when I got up there.
The residents and their friends say that for the past 2 months, they've suffered an almost continual barrage of unexplainable activity. They say household objects fly through the air and slam into walls around them, sometimes breaking glass. However you look at it, it's hard to believe until you see it for yourself.
When Today Tonight first came to this house, we all thought that we'd end up with a fairly tongue-in-cheek report about ghosts, and we came to uncover a hoax. But I have to say at the very outset that that's not what we ended up with at all. In fact, all 5 members of the Channel 7 team who stayed in this house for 4 days have seen things which we just can't explain, myself included. Objects have seemingly appeared out of nowhere, being thrown at or near us, and we kept most of it. We've had steak knives thrown at us, a spanner, a pair of scissors, a battery, lots of bits of pretty sharp glass, and most worrying of all, 3 live bullets. Now obviously the objective here is to capture some of this strange activity on tape. And we've tried to be as thorough as possible in doing that. We've got cameras everywhere. There's one here, looking over the dining section. We've got another camera here in the lounge room, looking over this stereo cabinet here. There's a third camera near the entrance hall, looking back towards the kitchen. And then on one of the bedrooms, we have a 5th camera. But that's not all. You're looking at a thermal image of me. The blackest parts of the picture are the coldest parts of my face, and the hottest parts of my face appear white. Now, we've brought this heat-seeking camera along to try and catch out humans. This is how it works. If I pick up this brush, hold it for a couple of seconds, and then throw it down, we can see that someone has touched the object.
Before we even had our cameras set up, things started flying.
Battery flew up.
Out of nowhere.
It just came out of nowhere.
That's it? Yeah.
It just it flew out of nowhere.
And we were
just
standing
smacked against the side of here.
10 minutes later, with cameras rolling, our first recorded incident.
Yeah, it'll just right when you friggin' leave it to speak.
Here it goes!
Hey!
I've just seen it, quick.
It's a spanner.
That noise was caused by a spanner which crashed into a kitchen cabinet with great force. One of our sound recordists, Danny Sims, saw it all.
I was just watching the cupboard there, and next minute I heard this almighty bang and my eyes caught the spanner bounce off the cupboard and hit the floor.
Where did the spanner come from?
I don't know, it looked like it came out the lounge room, but there was no one in the lounge room.
And the lounge room camera proves it. The point of impact was just out of shot, here. The spanner didn't cross the frame in this direction, and it didn't appear to come from here either.
Here it goes! Hey! I've just seen it, quick.
The only people in the dining room were Danny and Kirsty, who was on the phone. Now just listen to what she was saying at the time.
Yeah, it'll just right when you friggin' leave it to speak.
Here it goes!
Hey!
I've just seen it.
Our cameras didn't see the spanner impact, but Danny is certain a person could not have thrown it.
No one was in a position that could have thrown it at that force from anywhere in the building there.
Minutes later, a steak knife landed on the table outside.
Who saw that one?
I just heard it. I didn't see it.
Up there, bang, under here.
God knows where it came from.
Don't know where
It was a knife.
Is there something smoking on that light?
We don't know. Just hit the table.
I didn't actually see it, I just heard it. I turned when I heard it, and I saw it land down there.
There's no directional sound. You know,
All we heard was like...
This is one of 5 knives which either the residents or our own people say just appeared apparently from nowhere with a bang. But the most frequent flying debris were shards of glass, which might have come from 2 windows the residents maintain were smashed by the poltergeist. One piece was thrown past our soundman, James Petch.
I don't know, it just bounced. It bounced off here somewhere. I don't know. There's no way it could have come in the window because of the fly screen.
So where did that bit of glass come from?
It was the flying glass which baffled our thermal camera operator, Brendan Gowdy.
What we're looking at is thermal images taken approximately every 2 to 3 seconds. And you'll see the heat is dissipating. I mean, you can see an overall picture here, how quickly the heat's dissipating.
On the pieces of glass, Gowdy's camera picked up a rapidly fading and uniform heat reading. There was never any unevenness caused by fingerprints, and this piece was far too big to uniformly heat up in your hand.
I was baffled. I mean, if I had to say something, I'd say it was a bit like a microwave, you know. Something put a film of energy over the top of it, and that energy is what we actually witnessed disappearing before our eyes, or before our thermal eyes, if you like. Yeah, that was difficult to explain.
Brendan was also witness to a particularly violent incident. He was the only person in the house when this happened.
Whoa, what the?
A live bullet ricocheted onto the carpet. In slow motion, it appears to have come from the ceiling, then bounced off the furniture. We taped it from 2 angles.
Whoa, what the?
Once again, no thermal fingerprints on it, nothing that leads you to believe it was thrown by human, or had human contact. Yes, you could explain if they had a pair of tongs and things like that, but it wasn't the case. Yeah, nobody in the room once again.
Brendan, looking at this from your scientific point of view, what in your mind could have done to those objects what was done?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know what... from a scientific point of view, I have no explanation for what occurred.
As we saw last night, there are many people who believe something strange is going on in this house. The local priest, local journalists, the residents of the house, and our TV crew all saw objects being thrown around the building. We taped a baby's bottle falling off a microwave oven and a live bullet bouncing off furniture.
Whoa, what the?
And then there was the spanner which nearly hit one of our cameras.
Here it goes. Hey! Yeah, just seen it. Quick.
But as we said last night, even though it did not appear that someone threw or moved the objects, these shots do not prove something supernatural is responsible. And after 5 days in the house, we also could not prove the whole thing is a hoax. But late today, after viewing some new tape footage recently shot in the house, we found something which might throw some light on the mystery.
I got that.
Where did that come from? What was it?
On top of the microwave.
A flying object startled a freelance cameraman we sent to the house. But when you zoom in on his picture, you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen a reflection in the glass of the cabinet.
I got that.
And when you freeze the frame, you can see what appears to be a face. Could it be a ghost or the face of something or someone more earthly?
Well, the laws of physics will tell you what makes things move. It's Newton's second law of motion, I think, or it might be third law. A force has to be applied to a physical object to make it move. Now, the force can be all sorts of things, of course, but the most common thing in the sort of things you're talking about is if somebody threw them.
Barry Williams belongs to an association of people called the Australian Skeptics. For them, claims of the supernatural are all hocus pocus without scientific proof.
And I'm not saying that the people living there are doing this at all. They may or may not be, and I don't know, so I can't say.
Williams hasn't seen these pictures for himself, but they'll support his view that a person threw this object. He wants the 5 people in the house to let him come and see what's going on for himself and do some tests.
Initially, you'd need a team of people there. You'd want to have, and I'm not saying that the people living there are doing this at all. They may or may not be, and I don't know, so I can't say. But you'd need to have each of the people there, for instance, with somebody with them at all times to make sure they're not. You'd need to do other tests with the house completely clear except for the investigation team with nobody else in there. You'd probably need quite a few cameras. You may need some other instrumentation.
All that is pretty much what Today Tonight has already done. We even had a heat-reading camera to try to detect fingerprints on objects which were thrown, but we found nothing.
From a scientific point of view, I have no explanation for what occurred.
Since the Today Tonight crew lived in the house trying to solve the mystery, more people have come forward with stories of disturbing events. Last week, a couple of security guards were sent by the landlord to check on the condition of the property. One of them refuses to go back.
Just as I was about to leave, a knife landed in front of me while I was talking to both people.
Did you see where the knife came from?
No, I didn't.
So you're sure neither of those people threw the knife?
Possible for them to throw a knife. I'd have seen it. As I said, I'm not scared of very, very much, and that's enough for me.
Since all the publicity, the tenants have decided to move out, and they had a maintenance man round.
I saw a couple of bullets when I was working outside, and this bullet, fall not very far from me, and then some rocks come off the tree, but falling off nowhere. I don't know where they're falling from, but...
How do you explain the 24 or so experiences that 24 or so individuals have had, where everyone's saying the same thing? There's something unexplainable in the house.
Yeah, no, that is the interesting thing, and that really is an interesting thing from a sociological perspective, really. People are starting to reduce their critical approach to things and thinking, something's going on, wow, everything. And they feed on each other, and the media were doing it, and the people living in the house were doing it, and everybody around the place was doing it. What you really need is a cold analytical mind, which is not easy to do, I might say. That's not, we all don't have cold analytical minds all the time. Even skeptics don't have cold analytical minds all the time. So that would, but you've got to take that into account.
Today Tonight is not the only media organisation to see strange things in this crazy house. The first journalist to report the story runs the local newspaper. He's Jack Ellis.
So I was getting a bit close to April Fool's Day, and I thought, hello, someone's setting me up right out here. We're in big trouble.
But when Jack went to the house, within half an hour, he'd decided the house is, well, haunted.
I sort of raised my head to ask Kirsty a question. And just as I did, and I had all three of the people in full view of me, there was a rattle from the overhead fan over my head, and the shower of gravel just descended. And all of a sudden I became a believer.
Jack is certain the gravel did not come from the fan itself or through the solid ceiling, and he was showered twice.
It's the sort of thing, it's a story that you can't ignore it. Something is happening in that house that I can't explain, that three Catholic priests can't explain, that a Greek Orthodox priest can't explain, that yourselves, other journalists have been there, other visitors have been there, and they all tell exactly the same tale. Now, either it's the greatest hoax that's ever been seen certainly in this country, or else it's there's something in there that I just don't know.
Is it possible that this is a hoax?
No.
A Darwin radio journalist, Tracy Farrer, also rules out a hoax.
I guess I have to say that what I saw at that house raises questions which I don't think can be answered logically. I'm convinced of that. I went out to the house, walked in, and within a few minutes of being there, an object came flying out of nowhere. It came so fast I didn't see what it was, and it just appeared to come from nowhere. One of the people that were living in the house picked it up, and it was a crucifix which apparently a priest had given the people.
Almighty Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, you sent your Son to be born of a woman.
And then there's Father Tom English. He's one of the priests who have tried to get rid of what he calls an evil spirit inside the house.
My God, why have you abandoned me? We were just walking along and we heard crash behind us, and we looked around. There's this bottle that come out of the bathroom, which is in the middle of the house. So
And what did you do?
we went in the bathroom, bless that room as well.
Was there anyone in the bathroom?
No.
How could that bottle have flown the way it did?
Don't ask me.
The residents, though, reckon they know exactly what's messing up their home.
Some sort of spirit.
A spirit?
Not a very happy one either.
And they've had 3 priests try to get rid of it.
He sent a Greek Orthodox priest around, and he was a full-on one of these exorcist blokes, and he was doing his exorcist thing in Greek or Latin or whatever it was, and it was he had a Bible in his hand, and it was just twisting the Bible around, tearing his arms off. His hair was blowing back. This is in the kitchen, like. But he's gone back to Greece now. He left. He bolted 2 days later.
I guess the question is, why haven't you guys just moved out?
Because
Why should we?
It's a good house, you know.
Kirsty and I have been travelling in Australia for 3 years now. I'm sick of moving.
We don't want to move out because of it. Stick around.
In all, 30 strange incidents occurred during the 4 days the Channel 7 crew spent in this house. But we never recorded anything on tape to prove or disprove the claim that something like a poltergeist is what's throwing things around the house. This is the closest we got to capturing an object actually taking flight.
You're right. We've got something, guys. It's a little baby's bottle just flew on the floor. I heard that go.
But look at the timing of it. In 100 hours of tape, our best moment happened in the split second Dave Clark's leg happened to cover the lens. He could not have thrown anything at the baby's bottle. He was 6 metres away. Here's our second angle. The baby's bottle was just out of frame. Less than a minute after the bottle fell, our cameraman Gavin Davidson saw something weird when he went to check the other tapes.
I was inside in the lounge room there, checking the third camera just to see what we got. And that seems to be when it happens all the time, is when the cameras are off. And I was changing the tape and all of a sudden this slither of glass came down to my left, and about that long, little slither of glass came from nowhere.
What do you make of this, Gav?
Well, I really don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I know there's something in this house, but and I can't explain how things just fly around the place with no way of happening.
This is the little house in Humpty Doo, near Darwin, which the tenants and about a dozen independent witnesses say is being disturbed by something unknown, like a poltergeist. It's become one of the most intriguing ghost stories in recent times. Today Tonight spent a week there and did record a few strange events, and all members of our TV crew saw household objects being thrown about, but they did not appear to have been projected by a person. But then, on close analysis of this picture...
I got that.
Where did that come from? What was it?
we found a reflection which clearly shows one of the people in the house throwing something. At first, one of the residents admitted on the telephone that she threw the object and agreed she did it so people believe what's going on in the house. Late yesterday, we showed the close-ups to Dave Clark, one of the flatmates.
It's moving very fast, so whatever it is.
All right, whatever.
And if it was thrown at that angle, it would have went into the bedroom, so I don't know what you're on about here.
Today, all of the people living in the house still say the object was not thrown by one of them, and they refuse to be interviewed. They all maintain, though, as do all the other independent witnesses, that something unknown is causing great trouble in this house and making life for the people who live there a misery. The so-called haunted house of Humpty Doo. This is where Today Tonight spent 5 days trying to prove or disprove the claim that it's home to a poltergeist, which the 5 men and women living there say has been throwing things around the house for 2 months. We had cameras in almost every room, and this is what we caught on tape.
You're right. We've got something, guys. Little baby's bottle just flew on the floor.
A baby's bottle fell off the microwave.
Whoa, what the?
A bullet slammed into walls. A spanner almost hit our camera.
Yeah, it'll just right when you friggin' least expect it.
Here it goes!
Hey!
While the pictures don't prove anything, all the members of our own crew did see things being thrown around the house which did appear to have come from thin air. And there are nearly 24 others who believe there is something unexplainable in the house.
At one time I was there, there's a few things flying around.
What sort of things?
All bottles and just things from the kitchen and stuff like that.
Just explain for me exactly what happened, if you would.
Oh, well, they just fly out of a room that nobody's in, for instance. Crash out.
Could the objects have been thrown through windows or something like that?
No, because the room they come out of there's nobody in it, because we went straight in it after.
Father Tom English is the local Catholic priest. He's even blessed the house several times trying to get rid of what he calls the evil spirit.
We were just walking along and we heard crash behind us, and we looked around, there's this bottle that come out of the bathroom, which is in the middle of the house. So
And what did you do?
we went in the bathroom, blessed that room as well.
Was there anyone in the bathroom?
No, no.
How could that bottle have flown the way it did?
Don't ask me.
And local journalists also say they can't explain what they've seen in the house.
We've had steak knives thrown at us.
And as for me, well, I too was baffled by some of the objects that seemed to appear from nowhere with a bang.
Pretty sharp glass.
The tenants of the house and their friends swear blind that something angry has moved in.
I don't care what anyone says.
Either do I.
It knows what you're talking about, and that's all there is to it.
I got showered with rocks from the ceiling, just came straight out of the ceiling.
It was a knife.
I just heard it. I turned when I heard it. I saw it land.
Are you convinced that it couldn't have been another person throwing the object?
Oh, I'm definite. It's not another person throwing it.
But late yesterday, the story took a dramatic turn. We found this shot, which had been taped after our team was there.
I got that.
Where did that come from? What was it? On top of the waterway.
But in the glass of the cabinet, you can clearly see a reflection of a person throwing the object.
I got that.
Where did that come from? What was it? On top of the waterway.
Here it is again.
I got that.
Where did that come from? What was it? On top of the waterway.
You can also see the object itself flying past the cabinet. Watch the white blob. We're moving it backwards and forwards. The residents of the house haven't seen these pictures in the kind of detail that you just have. But they did tell me last night that the person reflected in the glass is one of them, Kirsty. Now, when I spoke to Kirsty Agus on the phone, she admitted to me that she threw the object. And she told me that she did it because she's desperate for people to believe what they say, that the house is haunted by a poltergeist.
I don't care what anyone says.
Either do I.
It knows what you're talking about, and that's all there is to it.
Kirsty Agus promised us an interview and a full explanation, but today, a backtrack. She won't talk. And the other people in the house have told us they are not convinced their flatmate would have done this. The 5 residents will have seen the close-ups by tonight, and we hope they'll explain all tomorrow. But they say they're still absolutely convinced that their house is haunted.